Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going back to the Springbank Wood Series. This time, the Amontillado 10-year-old, 55% ABV. Dustin, 55% is not to be confused with cask strength.
We discussed that. Third release, they're all 55. There's no way they're all cask strength.
Correct. 24 release? 2024?
Yep, this is this year's release, or last year's release, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Just hit the States a few weeks before the end of the year.
Dustin, lovely color, Springbank natural color, unchill filtered. Love a big ABV, even if it isn't cask strength. 55 is plenty. Is that a good way to say that?
I would agree. This is the third installment of this series. I believe they're going to do 5, but can't remember for sure.
Amontillado, Dustin. When you say Amontillado, the first thing comes up is the Cavalon Big 4 box series. Yep. It was one of the Amontillado. Sweet. I remember that was the most candied of the Cavalon Big Box series that we had.
This is, I believe, the largest production, too, by the way, of these. This one coming in at 9,900 bottles. And I will have to...
That means 3 for everybody.
Until they got wrecked. It spent 5 years in the sherry cask, 5 years in bourbon. So, actually, the longest finished each year. They've been one more year in finishing.
Yes.
So, yes. The PX was 3. Last year, the Palo Cortado was 4. And this one comes in at 5 years.
So, in the Amontillado.
And so this should be the most sherried yet.
And I've been told multiple times what Amontillado is. It takes something, then it dries, and puts something else in it. But you know what? I'll say that for people who know those things. I'll tell you how it smells and tastes.
We're Scotch reviewing. We're not sherry experts.
I'll tell you how it smells and tastes. American's perspective. Midwest American. I tell you what, just like the Catalan, even compared to the Moscatel and the PX and the Manzanilla, this comes off super, super sweet initially on first nosing. I'm getting a little bit of that Springbank funk and just a super candied sweetness. Maybe not super sweet, but a super sugary candy sweetness.
Yeah, to me, the sherry cask
Did you shake your head?
I did.
As in, you don't think this is super... Okay, give it to me.
Well, I don't think it's super sweet, and I'm shaking my head because I really am not impressed with this nose.
You don't think you see candy sweetness on this?
There is, yes, but it's muted. Like, this isn't like super sweet. I mean, 5 years in first fill, I'm expecting really intense sherry notes, and I don't get them.
I never thought Amontillado had a aggressive approach compared to other wine finishings. Compared to PX, compared to Moscatel.
I can agree with that. It's just, I mean, I'm getting some sweetness. You're right. It's candied. It's just muted. And then it's also like hiding the Springbank a little bit too much. I'm just kind of getting a surprisingly boring whiskey nose that's not lacking. There's nothing wrong here. Like, I have no negative thing to say. It's just, I was hoping for something else.
To me, it comes off very much, the Amontillado sweetness comes very much off like the Catalan Amontillado. A sugary candy sweetness. You're right, it isn't overly intense. It doesn't have like a vanilla backbone to it or something else, like a major flavor driving it. It's just kind of candied sugar. You know what it is? It's a little bit of sugar on your pancakes.
And then, meanwhile, Mike, the only real Springbank malt note that really comes through really distinctly here is the smoke from the peat, which doesn't seem like it was meant to be part of this whiskey.
I wouldn't say that.
It just seems like it's like oh, there's this sort of sweet candied cherry. There's a little bit of vanilla, malt. We've kind of again muted Springbank a bit. Oh, and here's smoke for some odd reason that didn't seem to be meant to be part of this. He just came and hang out, it's all good, chill.
I think you get a nice little funkiness along with it.
I mean, oddly enough, Mike, it's actually kind of almost giving me notes like of a bourbon a little bit.
I think it has a pretty middle of the road Springbank funkiness, a more candied, sugary sweetness, and you're right, a smokier version, which I turn up the smoke to me is never a bad thing.
Yeah, to me, it's not that they turned up the smoke; it's that they turned down everything else, so that all you really notice is the smoke. That's my complaint here. It feels like everything's been muted, and this has been open for a couple weeks now, guys. I've been playing with it. We were going to get together last week, and since we didn't, I actually got a chance to have a couple more pours of this. Brought it down a little bit more. I've been really hoping that this would pop out. We definitely noticed that the Palo Cortado improved after about 6 months in the bottle, but
we won't bring initial thoughts.
Yeah, so this is again possibly a little too closed off. It's kind of where I'm getting.
Sweet and spicy on the palate, prickly spice, a little bit of young oak. There's sugar candies all over the experience. I'm getting a little bit of funk. It has a nice smoke to it. Comes off slightly young. This is amazing.
Yeah, I get it's starting to go towards sort of a green apple kind of thing, but it doesn't get there. on the fruits from the Amontillado. It's kind of... Oh, what is that stuff that they use to sweeten stuff, like simple syrup?
Okay, yeah.
It's almost kind of like what the Amontillado did here. It was kind of like it added a little bit of a simple syrup, which kind of just confuses with the Springbank malt. You do get more of the Springbank on the palate. You got a little bit of saltiness. You got a little bit of the vanilla, cookie dough. Definitely does come off younger, Mike, which I was kind of surprised because, again, I thought more time in a sherry cask maybe could actually give it a little more depth.
It's not something I usually say about Springbanks. I usually don't say they come off young for their age statement. This does.
Yeah, I was even looking, and I can't remember. I'm going to go one more time through here. But I think it just says bourbon cask. So it doesn't tell us if these were first fill or refilled. So I would assume...
Refill?
I would assume these were heavily refilled, and they didn't get a lot of, character from that first 5 years.
I mean, yeah, there isn't a ton of vanilla here.
No, I mean, not rich vanilla.
I tell you what, right. And I will add to that, with water, the sweetness does come off far more artificial.
In a lot of ways, it does kind of remind me of sort of the negative side of a Springbank 10, the traditional 10, where you're kind of, part of you is always when you drink that one thinking, I love the distillate here, but I wouldn't mind a little cask influence being turned up. And that's where I'm here. It's like, but this is first fill 5 years. Like, how much more could you do?
6.
They should have left it in the cask for the 2 years. Would have been a 12-year, but hey.
Maybe Amontillado isn't something that is influential in the same amount of time as a PX or a Moscatel. I mean, that seems actually obvious to me at this point.
Oh.
There's a more delicate set of flavors.
I can see that. I think I'd just go back to this, Mike.
Give it to me.
I was having this conversation with a couple guys, and we had a little, hypothesis. So Springbank, and I mentioned in another review, we need to talk a little bit about Springbank.
Mm-hmm.
So they put out an 8-year red. The newest local barley, which we haven't seen yet, is an 8-year. They have run out of stock and are no longer going to be producing, I believe, the Long Road 21 and definitely the 18 I'm hearing. There's rumors there could even be a break in the Springbank 18 standard. They seem like they've maybe run out of casks in some of those age statements, and I'm wondering if this series was about basically getting a bunch of refilled sherry casks of different varieties to start, some serious aging, because maybe they're just kind of running out of casks, and that was really the goal here. Was we got a bunch of really good casks, but we don't want to age something too long in these, so we're going to put out this young series to kind of season.
Chop the legs off from underneath it and let something sit in for 20 years.
Yep.
That's a nice thought, Dustin. You went a little dark there, but
which they weren't $200 to do that.
the long road was like a 7-year-old or something this year.
Yeah, it was crazy young. I was like, I saw it. I just said, there's just no way I'm buying that at almost $200.
I really thought those were hitting their stride too.
I was loving what they've been doing, and I think they're done with that series. So
we'll get what we can, Dustin. All right, back to this one, my friend. With water,
a little sweeter,
yeah,
but less candied sweet, more classic
sweetness. Salt's more predominant for me here.
Yeah, still not like coming in as like super Springbanky. Just really just classic malt. I mean, it's Springbank, but again, it's just
I'm a little higher on that aspect than you are. All right, Dustin. Whiskey score time. Your bottle. I'll go first. I'm going to give it. It's gonna be low. This is gonna be low score for a Springbank. I'm gonna give the lower of my two scores. An 86.
Oh, okay.
Really wasn't impressed with this. I don't think the Amontillado didn't either have enough time or didn't mix well with the spirit. Not my favorite. I didn't love the last year's one. 86 out of 100. Thoughts?
Yeah. There's nothing at all wrong with this whiskey, Mike.
Agreed.
In terms of there's no off-putting notes. It drinks incredibly easy for a 55.5, whereas the Palo Cortado was a little offensive at notes. It had a little bit of funk we didn't like. I think I gave that one an 83 or 4. I was really low on that one.
You give this to someone who's their first Springbank if you want to talk about this distillery?
No, because they won't know what Springbank is.
Correct. You give this in their first 10 Springbanks? Is there any point where you want to introduce someone to Springbank and they're starting to like it? Will you even bring this up to them?
No, I don't even bring this up, and I don't recommend anybody buy this whiskey at that price. I'm going to give this an 85, Mike. I was right there, 85, 86. Mm-hmm. I just think 85 is a solid, average good whiskey. Like it's anything in the 80s is a good whiskey. This is
Good
right
ABV.
there in the middle. I love the ABV.
Yeah.
It's got a great mouthfeel.
Yep.
It's again, there's nothing bad, and it's got a lot of good. It's just
Are we giving our Springbank slant on this?
it could be we're being a little negative because it's Springbank. You're right, but you know what? When you earn a reputation of Springbank, you get graded on a little bit different scale sometimes. It's not intentional, but it might happen.
Look, you're expensive. We know what you can do.
Yeah.
It's like my old basketball coach used to say to me, I know you can do better.
Yeah. And this is truly, truly not a great effort from them. And because they're charging a premium, that makes no sense to me why they're even charging it. I mean, even a little bit tougher because, I mean, here's the question, Mike. You just had the new 12 that came out. You had this. Mm-hmm. In what world would you pay more for this one?
None. 12 such a safe bet. It's one of the safest bets in liquor.
Yeah. So I'm very disappointed with this whiskey. I mean, my disappointment is quite high.
Yeah.
That said, nothing wrong with it. If you pick one of these up, you're going to enjoy drinking it.
It's not a terrible whiskey.
No, not at all.
This is just another example of expectations high.
You're the kid going to Harvard and you just got a C on your health test. Like, What were you doing?
Yeah. We were hoping for better.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. You guys had a chance to try this one. Let us know what you guys think. Just until next time, Moto Wista, folks.
Happy gimmick drinking.
See you next time.